Hello everybody and welcome back to the flight deck. In this series of videos we're going to be taking a look at the aircraft we'll be flying on our tour of Scotland and our GA flights, and that is going to be the Beech 18. We are here at the lovely Dundee Airport in Scotland, where we'll be flying out of here and down to Edinburgh, and in these videos we'll show you the aircraft, tell you a little bit about it, how to get her up and running, a little bit on navigation in the autopilot, and landing the airplane and shutting down. So today we're going to be using the Beech 18 that's sitting here in front of us at Dundee in the beautiful Logan Air livery. The Beechcraft Model 18 is a low-wing, twin-engine, tailwheel aircraft that was built by the Beech Corporation between 1937 and 1969. Over 9,000 were built, with over 4,500 in military use during World War II and afterwards. They then became light aircraft for feeder airlines to the major airlines in North America, and then into personal use, and there are still a number of them flying today. The Beech 18 aircraft had a crew of 2 with 2 pilots, could carry between 6 and 10 passengers, was 34 feet long, had a 47-foot wingspan, stood just under 10 feet tall, had an empty weight of 5,400 pounds and a gross weight of 7,500 pounds, and is powered by 2 Pratt & Whitney R985AN1 Wasp Junior radial engines, each one producing 450 horsepower. The aircraft has a maximum speed of 225 miles per hour, a range of about 1,200 miles, service ceiling of 26,000 feet, and a rate of climb of about 1,800 feet per minute. Cruise speed is roughly 160 miles per hour. So that's all the technical information out of the way. Let's jump in the aircraft and we'll go through the cockpit and how to get her up and running. Alright, we're here in the cockpit. As you can see, it is pretty basic. I have removed the yoke on my side so I can access some of the switches. Let's take a look at the different sections and we'll go over what instrumentation is in here. This is a Cockpit aircraft, so while it looks good, it's not complete on systems and sounds either. Alright, starting down here you can see the lower pedestal. We have cowl flaps, which are currently open, with the levers are pulled out. You can just click them to close and click again, they'll pull up and open. We have our landing gear lever up and down. We have engine tanks, fuel tanks. We have offsettings, the main tank and the reserve tank for both the left and right. We have a tail wheel lock, which we lock for takeoff and landing. Parking brake. Oil bypass, cabin heat. We have oil, right oil shut off, left oil shut off, fire extinguisher down here, and our engine primer. Some of these work, some of them don't. Some of them are a little hard to control as well, requiring you to be pretty precise with your mouse positions. Looks nice, and it does work. Up here you've got, again, your gear lever with your up and down position lights, aileron trim lever, your flap lever, and up top here you have your prop RPM levers, your throttles, and your mixture, and you've also got friction locks for all of them. Going up to the center of the screen you have your main flight instruments, your altimeter, your OBS for your ILS landings and navigation, vertical speed, your carb mixed temperature. This is where your fuel and air are mixed, and you have to watch this for icing in that type of weather. A couple modern gauges. We have a fuel flow meter down here, a little bit of engine temp information. Here's our stack. We have our switcher for our comms. This is our GPS and our comms and all that in the unit here. An ADF transponder. Working our way up, we have a clock, we have the engine RPM, split needles, we have manifold pressure with split needles for the 2 engines, Cylinder head temperatures, oil temperature, fuel pressure, oil pressure. We have our oil and fuel pressures, temps, our temps over here, and some other instrumentation, nav instruments and standby altimeter. And this is again another ADF. Down here we'll show your elevator tab positions, flat positions, suction for the pedostatic system, and this dial here we use for our autopilot. Switches it between heading mode, nav mode, and I'm sure you can do things like ILS, localizers, stuff like that, which I haven't done yet because it is a little bit clunky. At least I find it that way anyway. Overhead, you have your circuit breakers, which don't do anything. We do have lighting panels. You can turn them up. It does look nice at light. There's an instrument light master and an avionics master up here as well. So looking down on the pilot's side here, we have more circuit breakers and a compass light for the compass. Here are your volts and ammeters for the two engine generators. Down here you've got your oil dilution switches. They don't work. We do have a starter switch between the left engine and right engine, which does work. Under the cover here we have our starter and boost. You don't need the boost, but the starter does work. You have windshield wipers, pitot heat on and off, your nav lights flashing and steady. Usually you would have flashing on the ground and then steady in the air. Extend and retract and on for your landing lights. We have our master switch for your generators and your batteries. And on the co-pilot side, you have your de-icer, your prop anti-ice. You have more circuit breakers up top, which don't work. Here you have your magnetos, left and right engine, 2 per. You have your dome lights, seat belt signs, elevator trim. This doesn't do anything. Your beacon light, which does, and 2 in-out switches and a Hobbs meter, which counts time on the aircraft if you were, say, renting it out by the hour. You can open up the little window here. And it gives you a nice forward view again. And that's about it. Pretty basic. Rudder pedals down below. There are a couple little other things that you'll see. Generator, circuit breaker, but they don't really do anything. And it can be a little finicky to start, as we will now go through. And you get these odd random sounds kicking in, and I don't know why. So we are currently at Dundee Airport. We're going to fly to the west on takeoff, as winds are light out of the west. We're going to show you how to use the autopilot for both heading mode and VOR mode. We'll do that a little bit, and then we're going to head down to Edinburgh Airport, where we will set up for a visual landing down there. Alright, let's get the aircraft up and running. So you can open the starter, it's fine. We're going to turn the master on. Left and right generators are now both on. We're going to turn the batteries on, left and right. See a little bit of power come up there. We're going to come over to the magnetos. All 4 magnetos are going to go on. We're going to put our nav lights to flashing just so that they can see them outside and know that we're here. We're also going to come over and turn our beacon light on, and if we go outside we can see all our lights are now flashing. Looks very nice. So to get the engines up and running, it's fairly simple. We're going to put start left engine first, so the left mixture will go fully forward. The left propeller will go fully forward. We're going to crack the throttle about 1/4 inch to an inch. We're going to come down here. We're going to select the left engine with the primer, and then we're going to give it about 5 shots of prime. 2, 3. See here, you only heard the squeak the first time. That's what I mean, the sounds are a little off. So there's 5 shots roughly, and then we're going to lock the primer. We're going to come over here, we're going to select left starter, and then we're going to hit the start button. Normally you'd do the boost and the start at the same time, but I've only got one mouse button. So let's start her up. Alright, the engine is up and running. See the left RPMs coming up, left manifold pressure is now reading. And that is good. The starter can go into neutral position. We have a good start on the left engine. So we're going to do the same for the right. Mixture comes all the way forward. Props come all the way forward. About ½ inch to 1 inch on the throttle. We're going to go to the right engine this time. No sound for the primer. There's 5. We'll lock it. Everything is set. We'll put the starter to the right side and we will start the, see if I can get a place where we can see it. Start the engine. Sometimes you have to fiddle around with it. Yeah, see, it doesn't want to do anything. Second attempt. There she goes. That's both engines now up and running. We can close or put the starter to neutral. We can close the cover. And everything is going well. What we're going to do is bring the engines up to about 1,000 RPM. And there is a little bit of a lag sometimes when you're moving them around. I mean, the sounds, it's got that weird Coronado sound going on, but and the engine should be running louder. Radial engines are not the quietest things out there. Anyway, we can start getting everything else set up. So we're going to come over to the top. We're going to turn on our avionics master. Everything is now coming alive. One thing you have to do, this is your directional gyro. You can tune in your course indicator, such as I'm doing there. You can turn in your heading indicator. There's no dial for aligning it with your compass. It does suffer from gyroscopic drift. There's no way to do it other than a key binding. So it defaults to D. If you hit D, it doesn't even rotate, it just flips around. So it is what it is. So over here you've got all your stuff. We'll put our transponder to standby. It's going to be a VFR flight. There's your radios. You can see there's your DME, there's your ADF. We have our normal display here. You would find with the GPS is comms, nav frequencies, and distances. And of course we have our map. So I'm going to put in a little bit of a route here. So I'm going to go into flight plan. And we're going to put in our waypoints. So we are currently at EGPN. Which is Dundee. There we go. Next waypoint is going to be PTH, which is the Perth VOR. Should accept that. That's the VOR, and it is it VV or EG? I think the letters are EG. 11 miles, that is correct. We're then going to put in the, we're not going to go all the way, but we'll put in the St. Abbs VOR as SAB. I want to be able to show you how to do a couple of different things, the best I've figured out so far. I'm St. Abbs LT, that looks like the correct Morse code. Is it? I don't think it's DN, but it should be fairly close. It is a VOR. No, that's the wrong one. It'll be unknown at 62. And then we will put in EG PH. Engines are warming up nicely. And enter. Now we got our flight plan in. See, it's heading down. It'll take us around. Zoom out. Actually, I don't know where it's taking us, but that's fine. I've got my numbers. You'd probably be better to plan this in the loading screen, and then it would be in there. But we are going to go tune in the VOR. So we're going to tune in the Perth VOR of 110.4. We're going to come down to here, 110.4. So that is now in, and the other one we're going to want the SABS VOR. It is. It's 112.5. There we go. So they're both dialed in, and comms, we'll go standard Unicom for VATSIM, and that is all set up. 7,000, we're on standby there. So the engines are warmed up. We can see our temperatures are good, our pressures are all good, and everything is looking good. These are your feather buttons in case you have engine failures. Shouldn't be anticipating having that. Alright, so cowl flaps are open. You can see them here on the engines. They allow better airflow through and help with cooling the engines when you're on the ground. So usually, generally, if you're under full power for climb, you'd have the cowl flaps open. When you're on the ground, you'd have them open. In the air and landing, you keep them closed, mainly because it keeps the aerodynamics up, and it helps keep the engines nice and warm. All right, so we will release the parking brakes, and we are good to taxi out. So let's close the window. A little bit of sound change there. I'm also going to come up here, and I'm going to put in a little bit of light on the panels. I do like it. Helps things stand out, and the light masters on, so you can see everything's a little bit brighter and easier to see. So we want to make sure the tail wheel is not locked. We want it up. See, that's it, down and locked. We want it unlocked so the tail wheel will turn, and it'll help us for taxiing. And again, it's a little bit hard to see out the nose, so we can always come outside and get the external view. So we're going to taxi out now. So brakes are released. A little bit up on the power. like I said, there's a little bit of a lag between your inputs and when she starts to move. Sort of like that. Now you can use your brakes to help you turn. You can use your rudders to help you turn. Just remember, if you kick hard on the rudders, it's going to let the tail swing and you'll get a rather abrupt movement like that, which is why tailwheel airplanes tend to go a little bit slower in their taxi. See there. And we'll come up to the hold line and we will hold. Back into the cockpit, parking brake is on. You can see the fuel warning lights are on because RPMs are low. We'll bring them back up to about 900. They should go out. There they go. So we are ready for takeoff. In the next video, we're going to cover lining up takeoff, all the prep stuff that you have to do there, and we'll get into how to use the autopilot for navigation. We'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.